Hello everybody, my name is Kishore, and this is Video Bites. Today we have our college counselors, Mrs. Q and Miss Day. Thank you for being with us, Miss Day and Mrs. Q.
Thank you.
So a short introduction. So Miss Day is a first-generation college student getting her bachelor's degree in Spanish and English from Gettysburg College. After 3 years working for the admissions team at Colgate University, she attended the Graduate School of Education at Harvard. In her spare time, she enjoys hiking, trail running, cooking, yoga, and playing the bass guitar. Mrs. Q taught honors in AP Language and Composition, as well as creative writing and capstone literary theory at Basis Phoenix from 2013 to 2017. She also established the college counseling department. Since then, she has provided private college consulting services and even appeared on a college-related TV series in Shanghai. In addition, she also earned certification from UC Irvine in independent educational consulting and is a member of various college admission consulting associations. So the first question is, what is your favorite part of the college application process? Is it like applying to the schools? Is it like writing the essays?
I think my favorite part in the process in working with students is for students to have a chance to really self-reflect. Oftentimes, I feel like through high school, especially at Basis, students are so busy that they often don't have time to do much outside of school and extracurriculars. So I think during the college process, it's just great because students get to really think about where they've been, what the community is that they come from, who they are right now, and where they want to go. And I think it's a really special time just being a part of that with students' processes with that.
I would have to say I completely agree with Mrs. Q in this beautiful moment in your lives to be able to see this as a journey, see this as an opportunity to continue to expand upon not only your passions and your educational pursuits, but what you can gain from a college education and an opportunity to pursue that. But one of my favorite parts so far throughout this process has been just those moments where I'm able to have, an hour in the afternoon with students to go over essay ideas and just have this really organic kind of fun and oftentimes enlightening conversation about maybe a direction in their essay, a way that they could merge together different ideas that just kind of comes out of nowhere. And that aha moment, like, oh, have you thought about this? Or maybe this just came to me. And that really beautiful kind of back and forth brainstorming is always one of my favorite parts of the day.
Interesting. So both you guys have had experience either leading admissions or like helping people write college applications. Do you have any like interesting story you heard in all your years of experience?
I think probably if I had to go a little bit further back into my experience on the admissions side, I think some of the best and funniest moments are whenever I get engagement during an information session. So there was one time in particular where I had a student, when I was asking in the information session, tell me a fun fact about yourself or something that you do, who was a stand-up comedian and basically did like a little bit for us at the beginning of the session and had pretty much everyone in the audience laughing. I can't remember the specifics of what he shared, but that just was super memorable to me, and I think is always a fun kind of piece to keep in the back of your mind. We're all human. We're all really unique people. And so to be able to just kind of get a laugh in before we dove into application materials and all of those different pieces, that I really appreciated and often, think a lot back on.
I think for me, I remember the first year that I was a college counselor at Basis Phoenix. It was my very first year in that role. And there were only 13 seniors, so we were just a small group, but we started a tradition that I had this little, it was really for a locker. It was a little disco ball. And every time someone got into a school, we would turn the lights out in college counseling and we had a song we would play and we turned the disco ball on. And I always thought that was fun. that first class as well, they, had some few disappointments along the way and some rejections. So we decided to start another tradition where they got to write rejection letters to the schools who rejected them. And we really, and they wrote them. I mean, the whole purpose was to just have a sense of humor and just really have fun with it. And so they would share those in the workshop. And so I just think there are so many ways to go through the process and still keep a sense of humor and perspective and have fun. So those are some of my funnier memories I have.
Yeah, that's, I've always thought comedy is like a somewhat big part of the college application process. I actually saw online that one student got a rejection letter and then they sent the rejection letter back to the college saying, I reject your rejection. So
yeah, I think that was actually the inspiration that came out that year that we did that. So I do think that instance was what inspired the students to say, hey, Mrs. Q, can we do this and share it? And sure.
Now going on to specifics of like applying to universities and colleges. I know BASIS requires students to have at least like 3 reach schools and then around 3 target schools and 3 safety schools. How many do you recommend like a student apply to? Like not just the bare minimum, but like in general?
I pretty much subscribe to that. I think that that's a good target. I think what I usually see is students with anywhere from 2 to 4 reach, 4 maybe target, you're right in the zone, and then 2 to 4 likely ones that you're almost positive you'll be admitted to. But that's just a starting point, because we see so many differences. We see all the way from students who just say, I know I'd like to just stay in state and I'm going to apply to the in-state schools and all of their honors colleges. To then we see students who know they're looking at very competitive schools or programs, and they really want to put enough out there that they know that they're going to have some great options when everything is done. And so sometimes you have to cast a wider net for some of those things. So I think that's what I love about what we do, and I think Ms. Day will agree with this, is that we get to really individualize the process, and each student is just so different.
Yeah, I would only add on to that. I completely agree, of course, with Mrs. Q, and I think that's fantastic advice. The only other thing I would add is that, very similarly in a lot of both of our conversations with students, this is an ebb and flow. It's a process that has a lot of surprises along the way in many, positive ways. So we always are encouraging students to think about, oh, I'd never heard of this school, but you find out that you absolutely fall in love with it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter what unique direction your college list takes you, knowing that when you look at that list, you can turn to a concrete reason why this school is just so exciting to you, and you're so just, I would say, engaged with the idea of being a part of that campus, that at the end of the day, we see as a successful college list. So, continue on that journey and let us know ever how we can help you as you kind of map out that process.
I know that seniors have like a daily college counseling class where you guys give advice and like help in the college process. So for the other like 3 grades of high school, what do you recommend like rising 9th, 10th, and 11th graders do, especially during like this crisis?
I mean, we completely, I think, Mrs. Q and I both want to acknowledge just how many, I think, challenges have come out of just the unprecedented state of the world that we all find ourselves in right now, and have been so impressed, not only with our seniors that we're seeing every day, but with the students at BASIS in general, who are really coming together as a resilient community, and thinking about all the ways that they can be proactive, given what's going on. So a few pieces of advice that I would share, especially for underclassmen, is don't worry. Right now, the main part of your experience is just enjoying your time in high school. And if you have some time where you maybe hear about a college that's coming to visit us, or an institution that a friend is thinking about and maybe seems exciting to you, this is the time to just perk your ears up start to listen. Think about how you like to learn in the classroom. What maybe teachers at Basis have really inspired you, what academic interests you have. And if you don't have it all figured out right now, that's okay. It's a time for you to be open-minded, to explore, to work really, really hard in your classes. And then as senior year starts to roll around, you can then take that step back and say, okay, I've been thoughtful about gathering little pieces of what I like, what I enjoy doing, who I am. And now I can start to translate that into really diving into the college search process. And then, of course, that's what we're here for, to help you take those pieces that you've reflected on throughout that time and apply them to your college search. And that's the best part of what we do.
I agree with everything you've said. I think the only things that I would still add, I always feel like for 9th and 10th graders, as Ms. Day said, do your absolute best in your classes. I think that during those years, that's one of the most important things, is establishing, great study habits and seeking help. That's the other thing. I think one of the things that I've always admired so much about Basis is its student support. Basis sets the bar really high, but they are there to support you. And so seek that help. And oftentimes I've told students, some of the best letters of recommendation for college can come from the classes that you had to go to student support for, and that you really got to know the teacher, and the teacher saw how hard you worked and the moments where you understood things. And there's a lot of examples of resilience and persistence and hard work that can come out of that. So seek that help. Don't sit back alone and struggle if you don't understand something. And I think during 9th and 10th grade too, just cultivating your interests, and doing it in a very natural way. Students always say, what are colleges looking for? And colleges are just looking to see what you love to do outside of the classroom as far as your extracurriculars. So, just follow those passions, really getting involved, even in this virtual world we're in right now. Join clubs, seek out opportunities. If you're interested in a college, not only try to attend the visit here at school, but check out websites. Since going virtual, so many colleges have expanded their virtual visits so that you can really see campuses and hear about them. And for 11th graders, I think, again, try to come to some visits that we have scheduled here. Check them out often. We get new visits every day right now. I also think continuing to develop those extracurricular passions that you have, and maybe try to see if you can take on some type of leadership role, even if, whether it's an official leadership role in a club or organization, or maybe you just are a part of a committee, but try to get involved where you're taking on a little more responsibility in those passions, or doing something that takes initiative or independence. And one of my other things I have always suggested to 11th graders, if you have some time, is starting a journal, and maybe looking online for just free prompts. There's a lot of places where you can go and just get some inspirational prompts. But the reason that I say that is, if you just occasionally journal, it's going to lead into that great self-reflection we talked about, that I think helps you approach senior year and really getting to know yourself and what you think. And you might have some great essay material in there by the time that you start senior year. So those are some of my just little, tips for some of the other grades.
Wow, yeah, those are definitely helpful tips for anybody in high school right now. Besides those, you guys have any just general tips that can help even people in middle school just prepare for their college resume and that college admissions process?
I would say one thing that I would add, and just to throw out there, what fantastic points and so well said, Mrs. you for all of the pieces of, particularly the journal. I love that idea, and the self-reflection. I think that some maybe like last parting thoughts in terms of tips, especially for younger students, is that ultimately, again, we see the process of going throughout your basis career as a journey, as an experience. And so when you're navigating that, maybe sometimes at the very beginning of that process, being open and being okay with the fact that maybe you don't have everything figured out of what it is that you like to pursue out of the classroom, but being willing to engage and being willing to give something a try to see how you can further develop that over the time that you have in high school and beyond. That I just want to reemphasize, because there are so many incredible resources here for students to take advantage of. And we always want to see students be able to have that opportunity to explore and not to feel pressured to have everything figured out. And so it's such a beautiful moment, I think, for me, when I'm able to see how a student was open to dabbling in some different areas that they might be interested in, and how you can watch that progression as they really come into their own and find themselves, maybe in that journal in their junior year. So those would be some parting thoughts I would have as students are navigating their high school and experience and before that.
Well, Miss Day and I joke around a lot that she's been on the admission side and I've been on the high school side of things. And so we say we have this one big collective big brain in the office.
Yes.
And the funniest part is, while you started speaking, I was thinking the two things that I was going to stress are openness and flexibility. So I think we're on the same page here. I really think even starting in middle school, being really just open, because a lot of times, and this isn't a bad thing, and it may be the best thing for certain students, but I think a lot of times we just maybe listen to majors or certain schools that other people tell us about, or how other people see us, subjects that we should pursue or careers eventually or something. And that's great. I think sometimes we get the best advice from people who know us very well. But I also think I just love when students are really open to finding their own paths. And I think that, and being flexible if things do change, if one day, in fact, I recently just spoke to a student who said, oh, I always thought I was going to major in this. And then I had this certain experience at something I was volunteering at, and I realized, oh no, I'm actually going this other direction. And being really okay with changing gears sometimes, and then really going towards it confidently. I think that that's important. So keeping that openness and flexibility to things that may change and knowing it's okay.
Thank you both for your participation today in Video Bites. And let's hope this year of college admissions is a great one.
Thanks so much, Kishore.